Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Today we're looking at the piece in the Easy Piano by Alfred series called The Legend of Zelda. And this particular piece is called Palace Music, and it is from Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And the composer is Akito Nakatsuka. And I really like this music. I think you might have figured out that I've never played this game. I know some people that have, and I have a couple of requests from students to play this from this book. So I'm going through most of the pieces in this book. And one thing to realize here is the tempo is pretty fast, but what you want to do is always start slow because it will build up a relative speed in your hands. So there are some teachers that will teach just play the fast part, get it fast, in your fingers first, that section, and then go on to the next part. Well, the problem with that method is that it makes you a very poor sight reader. So you want to be able to read everything at a slow pace first and then gradually move everything up. And then it will come out perfectly. Trust me on that. So I see this a lot when I get transfer students. They try to, shimmy into that really hard part really fast and just work on that. And it kind of loses the effect of the whole piece. So that's really not a good way to approach the music. So that said, let's look at the rhythm here. So we've got, you want to count in ands because it is syncopated. And it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you could even write in the counts to help you with that. And once you get that down, you don't really have to think about it after a while. And then you can see the eighth notes lined up after in the second measure. Right? So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. And then it goes into this part. And by the way, that is a very common figure that was used in the 1980s and 90s with piano music and just music in general. So you'll find that a lot, and it's like a 3 plus 3 plus 2 is how he's got it figured here. So it might have come from the influence of Igor Stravinsky, who wrote The Rite of Spring, so there was a lot of rhythms like that. Now, the book does say easy piano. There are some parts of this that are not easy, so we're going to kind of zero in on that a little bit later. But as you can see in the left hand, I want you to see if there's a pattern. So if you see the pattern, think about it. First of all, you have the same first note in common, but then every note in between is going up by half steps and back down. So it's a cycle. It makes a tiny little cycle there. F sharp, F natural. Okay. And then in the right hand, what I do when I play it is I play 3/8 notes at the end if they have the 3/8 notes in the right hand. It just makes it easier to get into the next measure. Now, if you were going to have this piece judged or, have somebody listen to it, I would not do that. But my own preference in arranging would be to have that be 3/8 notes there at the end. So you hear that? And then it lands on that note because the in-between note goes right back. Now, it is important to stick to their fingering. The fingering's pretty good. I just kind of jump around because I'm actually just sight reading it. So if you get used to that fingering, your fingers will remember it. So you just practice it slow, So you cross there to 3, and then 1 and 4. Now they have 3, and then 4 and 1, 3 and 1, 5, 4, 3, and then back to 1, 1, 3. Oh, I go to that other 8th note. 1 and 4, 3, okay, now in the B section, you want to count that the same way. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and, excuse me, that's the second beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's really 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then it goes back to the beginning. In the C section, you would skip the first ending and go to the C section, which says 2. And I make that a little softer. Just musically, it sounds better in that section. And let me do that fingering again. Again, here's that rhythm. 1 and 2 and this next part is quite complex for a easy piano book because you have a figure that is 3 against 4, and you would really see that later in like maybe Rachmaninoff, Chopin, advanced works, but or Debussy also has that figure. So if you look at measure, let's see, it's starting in measure 2 of the D section. So you have this triplet, right? But in the left hand, you have this duplet.
That was a fun video. Don't forget to subscribe